Great. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is David Kamin, and I'm the NAC chair. Five Oaks Triple Creek meeting in February. I believe everybody that I can see has been to a meeting before. Is there anybody, this is their first time? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I think we'll just go into introductions. So starting, let's see, I don't know if your screen's the same as mine, but go ahead and introduce yourselves, starting with Lori.
Lori Leach, Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District.
Good. Dennis?
Dennis Seeley, Vice Chair.
Aaron?
Erin Hatch, Recorder.
Great. Jennifer?
Jenny Peterson, neighborhood member.
Nice. And Eric?
Eric Lear, BCCI rep.
Okay, Miles?
Miles Glowacki, the neighborhood program coordinator for the city.
Great. And our guest presenter?
Hi, Stephen Sparks, Beaverton School District.
Nice. Okay, well, welcome everybody and thank you for attending. Let's get, oh yeah, okay. So just a reminder for everybody here, the main purpose of the NAC is land use planning. So that's one of the reasons why Stephen Sparks is here today. He'll be talking about the school district's long-range plan. So of course, we have a growing population. We may need new schools, new high schools, and guess what? We may get to change the boundaries again. I'm sure he has all sorts of good stuff to tell us. So having said that, let's go on to Lori with THPRD.
All right, well, good to see everybody. We've got quite a bit of news and things are changing as far as COVID's changing. So that gives us some more opportunities to do some more of our programs that we want to do and open some more centers. So if you're interested in any of the kind of on-site or off-site virtual classes, those are available online. So you're able to register for those classes as well as make reservations for swimming pools, tennis courts, weight rooms, that kind of thing. So that's all online. In February, we've opened Conestoga Rec and Aquatics, Cedar Hills Recreation Center, the Babette Hornstein Tennis Center, and the Tualatin Hills Athletic Center. So those are all now up and running and offering some more programming than they were before. And then in March, we're looking at probably around the 8th, we'll open up the big pool, the Tualatin Hills Aquatic Center. So those schedules are all going to be available online, and you'll be able to find out if you, again, do want to make reservations for, say, lap swim or tennis, that's there. Our summer planning is underway, and we're offering a large number of summer camps this summer. And a lot of them obviously are outdoors, so that's great for us. The in-district registration is going to begin, looks like Saturday, May 1st, and we'll be releasing the camp information around April 12th. And we're not printing our usual summer activities guide. Last year we did, and then we weren't able to use it because we had to change. And so we've just decided that at this point, print material can become so outdated so quickly that we're just not going to do that, but everything will be, again, available online. Lots of interest in dog parks. So due to the weather though, we have put down some additional chips to make those dog parks and dog runs more accessible for the seasonal weather. We just over this last weekend did a second Talking Walls project, and that's a partnership with the Native American Youth and Family Center and Color Outside the Lines. And that is, it's a series of murals that are designed by Native American artists, and then members of the community can come and help to finish those out, paint those out. And this last installation was at Greenway Park. There's one also at Sunset Park. So if you get a chance to go out, walk around, check them out, they're really amazing pieces of art. So a great add to the community. Volunteer opportunities, as you guys are aware, because you guys have been active in previous years with volunteers. So garden cleanups and work parties and removals of invasive species. So all of that also is available in that volunteer section online. Continuing is the free fitness in the park. And so there will be class opportunities around the district. Those are the particular days and times are available online. There's also drive-in bingo, which has been quite popular, and some other community events, and we're obviously following all the state health and safety guidelines. The trail use has been tremendous. People are out just anytime they can get out and on the trails. So we're just asking people to make sure that, you know, they're cleaning up after themselves and their pets, wearing their masks, maintaining distance where need be. And we've got Park Patrol that will be out and about, just checking in and making sure everybody's doing okay. Then we have Unity Park, which was formerly known as the Northwest Youth Athletic Field. And that newly developed park was opened to the public in January. The project was part of the 2008 bond measure, and the new park includes a multi-purpose youth athletic field, open space, perimeter pathway, picnic table, benches, sheltered parking at the adjacent Living Hope Church parking lot. That's shared, sorry, not sheltered, but shared parking, sorry. And then we also have, if anyone's interested in the budget committee, Tualatin Hills is encouraging community members to apply for the district's budget committee, and applications are available online. And the deadline for submitting those is Friday, February 26th at 5 p.m. And again, that's also available online. Aaron, I already sent these notes to you, so you have them.
I got them. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
There was a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
2 questions, actually.
Putting garbage cans next to the benches, that I do not know. But as far as I would expect that, or at least around the picnic areas, but I can check. And I don't know that park, so I don't know what the access is. And so sometimes that placing those garbage cans depends on the ease of access for the maintenance crew, but I can check on that. And then there was something else you said? Nope.
One other one.
Okay, let me pop in there. Yeah, I didn't have that side open. Ooh, yeah, I'm not sure about the porta potties. Is there a specific site you're talking about, or is that also at the Unity Park?
That's for Michael.
Yeah.
That one was posted before you were talking about Unity Park. So I
Okay.
don't, if maybe he doesn't have speaking ability. I'm guessing it's for all parks.
Okay. Yeah. I think as the guidance changes and the Unity Park and different I'll double check on that too. But I think as now the guidance is changing and the weather is changing, I expect there may be maybe some more portable toilets placed out or and around. So okay, I'll make note of that as well. Thank you. That would be for the chips around the North Trail. Yep.
Great. I have a report on something here. So I go on a morning walk. Aaron goes on the morning run. And I noticed, I believe it was yesterday, that somebody has cut a hole in the fence that separates the apartments from, I guess you would call it, Waterhouse Lake. Okay.
Oh, Jenny Lake?
Yes, somebody cut a hole in the fence about this big, and it's pushed in, and then there's a trail that's stomped through the blackberry bushes. So I don't know if you guys know about it, but I've walked by it the last couple of days, and I didn't see any danger or anything, or don't enter. I think that's the Park District's property, but because I know it's you guys are trimming the blackberries all the time, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that out as well. Send it up.
Okay.
Yeah. I know we have from time to time issues with things like that. People with the, vandalism or creating their own ease of access or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that's it, ease of access.
Mhm. Yep.
And then I did notice that right where Eastmoreland Court, that cul-de-sac, the entry from there onto the trail, right where it T-bones into the trail, it looks like somebody slipped and hit the railing and knocked out a couple of pieces. But I'm pretty sure the Park District is aware of that because I've seen some danger tape there.
Okay.
Just thought I would, make sure that you're aware of that.
That sounds good. I'll double check on that as well. Yeah. It's great when you guys can report like that for us. And, a lot of times the maintenance crew is on top of it, or we've already received other reports, but it doesn't hurt for you guys to reiterate whatever you see. So thank you.
Sure, thank you. Okay, does anybody have any other questions or requests for Lori? All right, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Next up is our policeman, but he doesn't seem to be here. Do you know if he's coming, Miles?
I don't know. He was invited.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. Well then, Miles, it's up to you. You're next.
okay, here's the February news from the city. City manager recruitment is underway. Beaverton is renewing its commitment to being a city that is welcoming, lively, and responsive, and we're looking for a long-term city manager to keep the community's needs and wishes at the center of all that we do. The search process follows the interim city manager appointment through July. He'll be here. And then we've hired an external search firm for facilitation support, engagement, and opportunities for the community to give feedback. The competitive process is set to begin next month, and a decision by City Council is expected to be announced in early summer. We'd like the community's help in identifying the ideal characteristics that will complement the work that the city is doing today and guide plans for tomorrow. If you want more information, it's at beavertonoregon.gov/city-manager. And you can also share your thoughts and get involved on the website. And this is part of the new city charter that Beaverton voters approved last year, became operational January 1st. We have an equity and public safety update. During the past year, city leadership and community members have come together to learn and explore experiences with public safety, as well as address systemic racism within city structures and practices. We're engaging with the community to expand and implement positive change. Our Human Rights Advisory Commission wrapped up the final session of the Police Department and Human Rights Advisory Commission inquiry sessions in January. They sent final recommendations to City Council, and those were presented at a roundtable meeting on January 26th. The topics they covered included police funding, transparency, policy changes, community connection, and the school resource officer program. You can view the meeting at the city's website, and you can also see video footage of the previous meetings on the HRAC website. You can stay up to date on our ongoing equity efforts and work with the community at beavertonoregon.gov/beheard. Beaverton received a WIFA loan from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. It's an $81 million water infrastructure finance and innovation loan to the city water systems project. It's estimated that it'll save Beaverton ratepayers $31.3 million over the life of the loan. It'll finance a series of projects that will enhance the reliability and resiliency of our water system and meet the needs of a growing area. We're going to construct major transmission mains, new water connections, seismic resilient drinking water storage, and more. The project construction and operation are expected to create more than 500 jobs in the area. And the Washington County Collective Library Services has eliminated overdue fines. So all across the county, there's no more fines if you have materials that are late, or if you had fines on your account, they're being wiped off. And they did this because there's tons of studies that show that it has severe impact on communities of color or with lower incomes, and it doesn't promote the timely return of materials. The amount that they collect in fines is pretty small compared to the overall budget, especially once you consider staff time, collections. And so they want to make sure that everybody can use the library that needs to. You can find more information on their website. My final update, find it, is vaccination information for Washington County residents. While every resident who wants a COVID-19 vaccine will receive one, the rollout is taking longer than anyone would like. If you'd like to stay up to date with the latest information on Washington County's vaccination webpage, it's available at www.co.washington.or.us. And you can also use dial 211 from your phones to learn more about vaccines and eligibility. Or on the 211info.org website. Please continue to wear masks, practice social distancing, wash hands, and stay patient while we work through the vaccination phases to ensure that everyone can be safe and healthy. Those are all the updates I have from the city.
I have a couple of questions. So first, we have a new mayor. And
Yes, you do.
usually the new mayors come and speak to the NACs. Do you have any idea of when we can potentially think about scheduling her?
I don't yet. It is on, I have spoken to her assistant, and so they're working on it, working on the schedule. If you've been watching City Council, they're busy working on who goes to what meeting with the new structure. So I'll just give it a little time to shake out, but yeah.
Okay. Another question is, I've been contacted by somebody who is running for school board. And are we having the election in May?
Yes.
It's usually around the middle of May. Or is that pretty much where it's coming again?
It is, yeah. You'll also be electing a new city councilor.
Right.
School board and THPRD.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. If I'm going to say yes to this person, I'm going to wait till the filing deadline is closed, and then, you know, invite them all to come. Because
Okay.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I think, the policy, right? We have to invite every one of them.
Yeah, or they can come during visitor comments and take their 3 or 5 minutes that you give them to talk.
Okay. All right. Great. One last question. What's the salary of the city manager? What's the proposed salary?
Oh,
The only reason I'm asking that is because one of the reasons for changing our charter was the amount of money the mayor was making. So I'm curious to find out how much they're planning to pay a city manager. And if, you know, because we didn't get rid of the mayor, we still have a mayor, but now we're having at least one other person and his staff. So that's why I was wondering.
yeah. If I can circle back before the end of the meeting with that answer. I've seen the number, but I want to give you the right one. So I'm gonna have to look it up.
I mean, that's just, you can answer it next month, no problem.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
find it tonight, but yeah.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have any questions for Miles? Okay, our guest presenter, Stephen Sparks. He will be talking to us about future planning and development for the Beaverton School District. So take it away, Stephen.
Great. Thank you. Before I get started, I put it in chat the election date, and Miles made reference to the county webpage. Put the address in the chat as well. So if you're interested, you could click on those. So again, my name is Stephen Sparks. I'm the executive administrator for long-range planning for the school district, and I'm here tonight to talk about our facilities planning project that we're doing right now. It's early stages for us. We're about halfway through, I would say, of the planning process. And my point for being here tonight is to inform you about what we're doing, what's going on, and to have you, ask me any questions and make any observations, comments that you would like. The facility plan is our policy document governing our facilities and how we handle our facilities in the district. The last time this plan was done was 2010. The state requires districts to update their plans every 10 years or so. So we are due for an update. The 2010 plan led to and supported the 2014 capital bond that the voters approved. And you may recall that was a $680 million capital bond. And you've seen across the district the results of that bond in terms of new buildings. That's the most visible, but there have been additions, modernizations. So for example, in your neighborhood, the work that's been done at Five Oaks Middle School was bond funded. So there's, I got some slides a little bit later that I can get to, but I want to assure you that the board has not made any kind of decisions, any kind of recommendations, any kind of proposals for a future capital bond. This is premature at this time. We need to do this plan, and then we can start talking about timing, size, et cetera, for a future capital bond. So with that said, I've got 10 slides here, and I'll try and go pretty quick. And when we're done, I'd like to have a conversation with you, and I can certainly go back to any of the slides if you're interested. So this first slide shows you what we have done in terms of major investments, meaning new buildings, since 2000. And you can see from the map that they are geographically spread out amongst the community. But you can also see here on the left that we view our actions in an equity lens and looking to be sure that the decisions we make are equitable across our community. So you can see here that the schools, new schools have been placed in areas of poverty, as well as impacting families that have free reduced lunch and different other socioeconomic factors. So we believe we're doing a good job in investing across all segments of our community. In terms of just a broad overview of the district, we have 62 facilities and over 5.5 million square feet of floor area. And if you imagine in your mind's eye, Big Pink downtown, that's over 8 of those buildings here in Eastern Washington County. So we have a lot of facilities, a lot of assets to maintain and take care of. So obviously, since we're looking at facilities, we need to pay close attention to factors about the facilities. And this slide shows you the range of age of our facilities. Beaverton High School, circa 1916. It's over 100 years old. And you can see in these other dark bars, we've got other buildings that are over the expected lifespan of buildings being about 75 years. In this one, we hired a consultant called McKinstry last year to go through and visit every single school and inventory and assess every asset that's in those buildings. So everything from floor coverings to the roof and HVAC systems above and everything in between. There are about 400,000 data points across all the facilities. And from that, we're able to understand deferred maintenance. So what schedule of maintenance would be across the district and all of its facilities. But we can also give a score to all those assets. And you can see on this horizontal dashed line, if you exceed that, it's time to start thinking about whether whether we should keep the building anymore. It may be cheaper in the long run to replace the building rather than to continue to invest in old infrastructure. The worst performing school here is the Raleigh Hills school over on Shoals Ferry Road near the Fred Meyer on Shoals Ferry Road. In your particular neighborhood, the assessment is pretty good, except ISB as an option school. That's not in your NAC, but it's pretty close to it, as well as the Beaverton High School, where some of your students, some of your residents will send their students to Beaverton High School. Another important consideration is seismic. You can see our best performing schools are our newest schools. These are immediate occupancy buildings. And then you can see our buildings that are not meeting the standards are, they tie to age. They were built well before the current seismic structural standards that are in building codes right now. And again, this is a factor of age of those facilities. I mentioned earlier about the deferred maintenance. We have a total deferred maintenance need of $610 million. It's a huge bill. But what we're going to be able to do here is, we know we're not going to get $600 million. But what we can do is start making targeted investment in that maintenance, and understand how to budget for it over the next 10 years to the best of our ability. Clearly, we're not going to be able to do everything, but we can target those investments a lot better with the inventory that we have. This just shows you where the 2014 bond dollars were invested. Again, you can see in the middle school, 5 Oaks got the most money of middle schools in there. The new schools you can see are in those dark bands right there. And every school got something. A lot of it is tied to technology, where we beefed up our wireless infrastructure. Every student received a Chromebook. And even the kindergartners, I believe, are getting like iPads to do their work. So everybody got something in the bond. So our key takeaways here is we've got 2 schools that are in need of replacement within the next 10 years. We also have 10 facilities that have really poor seismic scores. And you can, as I mentioned earlier, a large deferred maintenance load. This is our projected enrollment compared to capacity across the district, that there are 3 levels of school. As a district, we have capacity to accommodate every student that will come into our district. We just don't necessarily have the capacity where that growth is anticipated to take place. Now, these are our projections 10 years from now. So this is the reason why we're looking at some capacity some capacity additions in the district. We're not looking at buying property and adding new schools because we do have enough capacity. But one of our other strategies is, and it's everybody's favorite, are boundary adjustments. And I'm saying that facetiously. No one likes them. But we can move students from one school to another to help balance out that enrollment and what's going on in our schools. Now, in understanding our needs, we have to come up with a plan for implementing and funding those needs. And so we have two options that we've been looking at. Option one is not to do a tax increase. It is to go to the voters and request that they approve extending a bond that is expiring. So in a year, a bond that you currently see on your property taxes will expire. And so your tax bill could go down a little bit, but what we would ask the voter is to say, don't let it go down, just renew it. And that would give us about $325 million. The second option is to ask for the renewal plus an increase of 25 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. And that would raise about $725 million. So there are two different options, obviously with two different amounts. And what we would get from this, and this slide here shows you how we are proposing that, how we would prioritize projects and funding for those, for these categories that you see here on the left of this table. So you can see in option one right here under facility replacement, we show that Raleigh Hills would be replaced in option one. And it obviously would be an option two. The big change here is with Beaverton High School. In option one, we're looking for money to do all the design work, permitting, and get everything ready to go for a subsequent bond to be able to fund for that. In option two, it would be replace Beaverton High School. So that is a big add to the project. You may think that that's a lot of money. Construction prices have gone through the roof, as well as materials. And as an urban district, we don't have greenfield sites anymore. So we have difficult construction factors to consider. Also, you can see here under facility modernization, we're asking for a lot of money in deferred maintenance, but we're also looking to increase the modernization and seismic upgrades. And then you can just see, how we've, figured the money to be allocated and, consider them kind of buckets. We're not down to the project level necessarily. I mean, we are not saying, oh, we're going to do X at Y school for seismic upgrades. We're just calling it just a big bucket at this point. And if the voters say yes, then we kind of refine into, all right, what is that specific project? That's my last slide. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have. And as I said, I can call the PowerPoint back up and go to a specific slide. I need to take a 10-second timeout because my dog is going to keep barking until I open the door and let her out. So I will be right back.
Okay. All right. 122 minutes.
Hey, David, did you, I forwarded a contact to you about someone thought of a work party idea of picking up trash. Did I send you that or?
No, you did not.
Okay, I'll look for it, see if I can find it. I
Yeah,
just thought of a work party community service thing. I don't know if that would fit into our thing or not, but
yeah. Well, and Miles, if you could have the website changed, so I'm listed as NAC chair, then Dennis won't be getting the stuff anymore.
well, I mean, it's just easy for me to, move it your way, David. I mean, it's,
Yeah. I know. Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
So as I said, I am more than happy to answer any questions. I am going to put in the chat an address, web address. We have 2 videos on that page that I would encourage you to take a look at. They're short videos. One is about how we spent the 2014 bond dollars, and you get to see some really nice action shots and call it propaganda, but it's, happy news. And the other one is, kind of what I did just now in a video. And at the end of it, it refers to a survey. And on our page, we have that survey, and it doesn't take very long to do. With the videos and the survey, you might be in 10 minutes total. And we'd really like to hear from you on your thoughts about priorities for projects. What do you think needs to happen at schools in your community, or what shouldn't happen? There's, if you have strong opinions about, a bond, yes, no, size, all those things, everything is useful for us to know. I do see one question about how would Beaverton High School be replaced. It would be in all likelihood an active construction site, meaning we would build the building or not active, occupied construction. We would build the building with students on site. So the field that's on Farmington Road in Erickson, in all likelihood, we would build a 4-story building on that site, on that field, which would be the classrooms over there. There's that little, it's a former street, 2nd Street, that's now just a little cul-de-sac for visitors to park in. We would probably replace the gym and theater on that side, on the north or south side of that parking lot. So the students wouldn't be shipped off anywhere. They would be on site. Now, we may not have, there's the health careers school that's on site that draws students from across the district. We might have to relocate that for a period of time, but the home students for Beaverton High School would remain there on site.
So you talked about the 2 different potential funding options. At this point, is that something that you're taking community input on and deciding between, or would, I mean, I assume at some point something is going to be on a ballot.
Yeah.
Would it be one or both, or how's that going to?
So ultimately the board is going to have to decide what to go with and timing for that. There was a push at one point to get on last November's election. It was basically a bridge too far to get there, but we tried. Anyway, at this point would be great to hear from the community on what they feel is right for a bond or not, and what the correct timing would be. in doing this here tonight and elsewhere, it's not a very scientific approach for, conducting a survey. And certainly we would do far more outreach and education to do that. And the board wouldn't make any kind of move until they have done a professional survey to understand where the community is.
Thanks.
So just continuing that, I noticed that the 25 cents per 1,000 assessed, would that be the same for business property as well as residential property?
It is for every property in the district. There isn't a distinction.
I see. Okay.
Okay, well, by all means, please take a little time to go onto our webpage and check those videos out and do that survey. And if things come up to you that you think about later on, we do have a comment link on the webpage there. I read all of them and respond to most of them as we get them. So I really appreciate your time. And this, as I have mentioned, is not going to be the first time that we're going to be reaching out to the community, but I do appreciate you allowing me to present to you this evening.
Another question here.
Yeah.
What is the location of the 3 undeveloped sites? Where are they located? And what size school will fit on the sites?
So we have 3 undeveloped sites, and all 3 are sized for elementary schools.
Mhm.
There is one north of Springville Road. So it's, if you picture in your mind's eye where Sato is,
Mhm.
you turn to the east, you throw a rock really hard, you'll probably hit the parcel that we own. It's right up against the urban growth boundary north of Springville Road. The second property is immediately east in behind Westview High School. And then the last one, the third one, is down in the Cooper Mountain area, northwest of the Mountainside School. So as you're going up the hill, up 175th, you'll see the vineyard off to your left. It's just on the other side of the vineyard is the parcel that we own out there that we bought in 2017, 18-ish. When I bought it, it was just, I was cringing on how much it was. And I thought, hey, 10, 15 years now, I'm going to look, really smart. It's only taken a couple of years, and it looks like a smart investment.
So those parcels, elementary schools, are you still allocating 10 acres for elementaries?
Yeah, 8 to 10 acres per elementary school site.
And 20 for middle schools and 40 for high school, something like that?
Right. And as we, as part of our plan, we're going to have to look at the reality of being able to do that. We don't have greenfield development anymore. And as a developed community, there really isn't land to be had. That's part of the reason why people are scratching their head about Mountainside and putting that high school down there. Is, why put it there? Well, that was the only place that you could buy land, of sufficient size. So you look at Beaverton High School, that's a tiny amount of acreage in the middle of our downtown area, and is bifurcated by Erickson Avenue. So we're not going to get 40 acres. So we have to be flexible with what we can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is greenfield development? How do you define that?
Greenfield is it's wide open and undeveloped, and you can just go out there and start subdividing and building infrastructure and the like.
I see. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
In the last few years, I know we've gone through the, sorry, my brain doesn't function very well this late at night. When you're readjusting the boundaries for
Yes.
the schools, we did all elementary, middle, and high school in the last few years. So when you say we'll need to do that, do you have any kind of timeline for that? Is that 10 years from now?
Everything I presented, I showed you here in this quick presentation are things that we need to do between now and 2030. So it's a 10-year plan. And I can tell you right now, there are more boundary adjustments coming. Will they be the comprehensive boundary adjustments like we did with high school and middle school? Probably not. They're going to be much more tactical in that, a specific school in a specific area. Let me go back to the presentation here, and let me show you the map. So if you look up here at the Bonnie Slope on the elementary schools, if you look at Bonnie Slope, we see a growth of almost 130 students projected in that area. And that's largely because there's more development that's going to happen in the north and east side of that attendance area. But you look at Terra Linda, which is right down here below it, it's a decrease of up to 185. Now these are estimates. It's not to say there will be 126 more kids there. It's just an estimate. Instead of building more classrooms at Bonnie Slope, it would make sense to move some of the students from Bonnie Slope to Terra Linda because there's room to do that. That is, inconvenient for families. I acknowledge that, but it saves millions of dollars in trying to, add more capacity. So those are the kinds of adjustments that we would do likely in the next 10 years.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like as far as high schools, Westview is a lot of the people in our NAC. It looks like that's the most troublesome as far as projections.
Westview has been a problem for basically since it opened. It opened I believe it was in '92, and it opened over capacity then. Short of building another wing out there, and there's room to do that. It would become the largest school in Oregon. The alternative is, as you can see, you could pull more folks south of Highway 26 to go to Aloha, Beaverton, or over to Sunset. And if you lived through the high school boundary adjustment, it was a very emotional process. And I don't think our board is willing to take that on again. At least not right now.
Yeah, we've been through it 3 times lately, so I was just wondering if that was coming up again soon.
Boundary adjustments will be a routine thing, but whether they impact everybody, I can't say that would likely happen.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Steve, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're building schools for 50 to 70 years, what's the long-term projection since we will be a built-out community relatively soon?
Yeah, we are, for all intents and purposes, we are a built-out community. There are a few areas, 2 areas that development will continue to happen, but that will be, the North Bethany area will end its development within the next 5 years, probably sooner than that. The Cooper Mountain area, probably within the next 10 years, that will be done. And then that's it. We as a district are, sorry, we as a district have reached our plateau. We're not going to get any, it's unlikely that we're going to get any bigger than we already are. Maybe, we're around 40,000 and it might bounce. Oh God, hang on a second. I'm sorry.
something.
I was in a meeting this afternoon and the UPS and FedEx people kept showing up. And it was just nonstop this afternoon. Anyway, we will bounce around for a while around the 40,000, and then we're going to go into a decline. Eastern Washington County is, we all know, an expensive place to live. And a lot of our established neighborhoods are not getting the same, refill rate, where, families, the children age out, families will stick around. And then when they do sell, it's not young families necessarily that are showing up and coming in and repopulating the schools. So what will happen is over time, the newer schools will become, kind of those hub schools. And we look at our older schools, they're going to be shuttered and declared surplus over time. I grew up with this I grew up in the North Bay in Marin County. That's what happened down there. It got so expensive that young families didn't come in and they started shedding schools everywhere. I don't know if we'll reach that point here in Eastern Washington County, but what will happen is we will build schools at a size that will make some schools redundant, and they will be combined with the new buildings. I can see, for example, and this is just an example, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I can see Bethany and Rock Creek. It's possible that given the the age of those buildings, they're kind of the same era, and the the demographic makeup out there, I could see a situation where Rock Creek is redeveloped to our current standard of about 750 students. That would make Bethany redundant, and that those two schools would be merged into one school. It's a possibility. It's not going to happen in my lifetime, but that is the direction we're going as an institution. So anyway, unless there are any other questions, I will get out of your hair.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to your next visit.
Yeah. I'll come with some more boundary adjustments we can talk about.
That's what we need, controversy.
Yeah, something to keep my evenings occupied. Yeah. All right.
Steve.
We'll see you later.
Okay. Okay.
David,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I found the answer to your question earlier.
Oh,
The city manager's salary is advertised at 180,000 to 241,000 plus benefits.
Miles,
Yeah.
since we're back to city business, is this something, these kinds of projections, are these things that the city looks at as far as planning for the city and, the makeup of our population and anything that they do to attract younger families or to, I'm just curious if that's anything that the city looks at as well.
Probably in our community development department, they do. I know they do because they look at infill development. So where are we going to see higher density, like in downtown Beaverton? I don't have any insight into what they've found though.
Yeah, I think I remember somebody coming in and projecting, the need for housing for older couples and, more retirement centers and things like that. And Beaverton, at least when we moved here, was just known for being really family friendly. And I just wonder if that's in the visioning at all of how we can keep that as a focus. And obviously we're all going to age and we'll be those people, but I feel like we need that. We need a good balance. I think that's important for a healthy community. So I'm just wondering if there's anything they've talked about.
So
I don't know what you would do. I don't know what the answer and what I would even recommend, but I'm just curious if you people who think about it more know more.
So kind of our generations are sandwiched in between the two largest generations. So you're going to see an uptick in older population, and then that'll decrease as we age because there's just not as many of us. And then it'll come back as an uptick. And there have been a ton of retirement communities built in Beaverton in the last 10 years. Yeah, I mean, it's very complicated because of the urban growth boundary. There's only so much land that is allowed to be developed. And so it makes Oregon very expensive to build in. In California, they just keep pushing. They put a freeway in and then develop out that way. So housing costs are lower, but you end up living out in the desert. And Oregonians don't want to. Western Oregonians don't want to do that. Yeah, it's very complicated. I don't know what the future holds for Oregon's development.
Well, the
Thank-
urban
just the last
urban growth boundary is the #1 cause of our housing shortage.
Mhm.
Just talk to any builder right now. They can't build fast enough. And of course, that's why. So, but laws can be changed. So who knows, maybe Beaverton is gonna keep growing north or, the other direction. It's not gonna grow east, we know that. And it's not gonna grow west.
Unless it starts annexing Aloha.
Well, even if the city annexed Aloha, there isn't a lot of buildable space in Aloha.
No.
I mean, so there's no advantage for Beaverton to do that, not that I can figure out. Keep it in the county. I hear you get a lot of grumbling when the property taxes go up. I'm sure about that. Yeah. Okay, should we move on? Yes, all right. So next item of business is NAC business, January minutes. So let's start with January minutes. We need to have approval of the minutes. So I need a motion from somebody out there.
I
We
move to
also-
approve.
Any additions or corrections?
Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, we also need to approve the December minutes because I hadn't sent those out, but I did send out December and January. So we need to approve both of those.
Okay. So first, are there any additions or corrections to the December or January minutes? Great. Could I have a motion for approval of those minutes?
I move to approve both December and January minutes.
I will second.
Oh, good. Thank you, Dennis. So Eric made the motion and Dennis approved it. Great. Let's see. Treasurer is not here today. So Eric, how about your BCCI report?
Yep, and I've got a couple issues that will relate to questions you asked earlier, David, because one of our guests was Mayor Beatty, and she gave an update. Sounds like both she and the council are adapting to the new system, the new the additional council member, the new duties of the mayor, and then working with the city manager. So it sounds like there's still some kinks to work out. She's had some difficulty getting her schedule figured out. The one thing that she said she wants to do is start putting blocks on her calendar, I think 1 day a week for an hour or two, just to allow people to come chat with her, ask questions, give feedback, and so on and so forth. And she did mention she also wants to get out and see the NACs soon as well. So hopefully that will happen shortly. Somebody asked a question about the salary for the city manager.
That was me.
In the meeting, they asked of her.
Oh.
So relevant to your question. And though the context in which they asked it was, does it make sense that we're the bottom end of the range is that 180,000, given that City of Tigard just hired a new city manager. You know, Tigard is half the size of Beaverton, and their city manager is making $200,000. So the concern is, are we hiring something? Is the position competitive? You know, or are we going to be, you know, getting someone on the cheaper end? And Mayor Beatty pointed out that she expressed that concern as well. But as Miles said, that there's a large range. So depending on the person's qualifications and experience, it could go a little bit higher. So that is an issue that's been brought up by the city. Speaking of city council, so it was mentioned, we do have that election coming up for the new city councilor who will be replacing Mayor Beatty, along with the school district, along with THPRD. BCCI is doing another voters forum, and that will be Thursday, April 29th at 6 o'clock, I believe. So we're still working on that, but I think that's our tentative date for the moment, and I will continue to remind of that as we get closer and closer. If you have any questions that you would like to be asked, so the voters forum is going to be focusing on the city councilor and THPRD. The school district does their own voters forum, so those candidates aren't going to be included. But if you have questions that you would like to ask of the city council candidates, or really what we need questions for is the THPRD people, then please pass those along to me and I'll get them sent to the right person. Okay, the big focus of our BCCI meeting was traffic calming, because this is something that's been brought up as an issue by multiple NACs in the past. So the idea of traffic calming, and Aaron, I'll send the full rules and regulations over to you. Also, I never responded to you last month, and I apologize.
No worries.
That
And
was
I'm
my
sorry,
bad.
it all exploded right at that point when you were giving your report. So that's a little lacking, but yeah.
Traffic calming, the idea, if you as a neighborhood member decide that people are driving too fast on your street and maybe the city should look to put something in, whether that's an island, whether that's a curb extension, probably the best tool is speed bumps. If these should be put in to help slow down traffic in a particular area, street, neighborhood. So the process for getting one of these projects approved, it's got several steps. First, you as the neighborhood member, you notice an issue, you apply or you submit this to the city traffic engineer. They will do a study of the neighborhood. You know, they'll go out there and take a look at it. They'll do speed tests and see, hey, do we think this is really an issue? If so, if they determine this is eligible, they will come back to the neighborhood member who submitted this, and they'll say, okay, we'll give you a petition. You need to get signatures from 51% of the people in the affected area. And they'll be clear on what that area is. Once that petition is complete, you bring it back to the city, and they will look at the project and they will rank it in order of importance based on on how serious of an issue they think it is in comparison to any other projects they have on the docket. So this is just sort of an ongoing process they will do. As they have these projects, they will bring them to the Traffic Commission, and the Traffic Commission will look and they'll say, okay, we're going to do the top X number of these projects. We approve these for the next step. This is where things get a little bit controversial. At that point, at the point the Traffic Commission has approved it, they will then do what's known as a support survey, where they email out to all of the affected members of the community. They will email them a little sheet to vote with and a return envelope and say, you know, here's the project we're proposing. Do you approve? Yes, no, or abstain? And then the person sends it back and they calculate the votes. The difficult part is for one of these to pass, you need 67% of eligible voters to say yes, which means that if somebody does not vote, if they don't return their card, that is the same as if they voted no. It's not counted as an abstain. If somebody votes to abstain and sends that back, they're removed from the total number of people in the area. If they don't respond, it counts the same as a no, because you need to get 67% of all eligible voters, excluding those who abstain. As a result, since they've implemented the system, the number of these projects that have gotten approved has just plummeted. And there's been concern among NAC members, community members, that this is a system that's set up to fail. So we, as the BCCI, we expressed some concern to the traffic manager about this, the city traffic engineer. We also asked for some statistics on what is the typical response rate. Because to me, that seems important. If you're getting a 90% response rate and you're just not getting 60% of the people voting, you know, fine, that you're not getting enough support. But if you're getting a 50% response rate, it doesn't matter if everyone votes yes, you still don't pass. So, well, what we were trying to determine as, you know, the representatives of the neighborhood is there a better way to do this? So the will of people is I guess better being expressed in these projects. So at this point, we're waiting to hear back from the city on some of those numbers, some of those statistics. And then our thought was to bring that as the BCCI and as representing the NACs, and of course, anybody from any of the neighborhoods who wants to join the process as well, but bring this to the Traffic Commission with our concerns and potentially recommendations for how they could change that system. So that was what we talked about. David or Dennis, have we worked on anything in the neighborhood recently as far as traffic calming goes?
Not recently, but in the past. And we had one long project that was going from 173rd all the way to the turnoff for McKinley School on Fieldstone. And it would snake all the way through the neighborhood. And it didn't work. And so what they ended up doing is what we currently have in our neighborhood, and that is we have the speed bumps around the S turn near Autumn Ridge Park, but the park going down 178th, or excuse me, Fieldstone towards the school, where you have the most kids walking and all that, those people voted no, 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 no. So that was what they voted.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also had, quite a long time ago, Waterhouse had a vote. No, I take it back. Stonegate had a vote. And they also voted no. So that's, and then we've also had in Heritage Village and across in Cambrai. And those people, they took it into their hands to get it passed, and it passed. So you really have to have on the ground, local door-to-door support to get it to pass. That's what I've found in our neighborhood.
And that was, you know, certainly a concern right now is that they were saying typically the city will canvass door to door, not to get a vote one way or the other, just to say, hey, did you get this?
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't, we'll mail you another one. If you did,
Yes.
please vote.
Yes.
Which obviously they're not doing right now. But one of our suggestions was potentially, can we look at the way that we're soliciting these votes? Is there a better way to do it that'll get a higher response rate? Like maybe can people can people have the option of doing this online rather than mailing something back? Or is there a better way to get this information in front of people so they understand, if they're choosing not to vote, they at least understand what that means? Because our feeling was, at least based on the feedback we've gotten, is that a lot of people didn't understand if they didn't vote. They're like, oh, if I don't vote, it doesn't matter, right? If I don't vote for the governor, it's not like that counts as a vote for somebody, right? It's not a yes or no. It's just my vote doesn't count. When you don't vote for this, your vote counts as a no.
Hey, Eric, could they, on the counting, the percentage, could they use what Congress uses, 67% of votes cast?
That was one thing that we suggested, or maybe you do 67% of votes cast, assuming you hit a certain threshold. Whether that's 50% or 75% or so we mentioned these ideas, and Traffic Commission, they know this is an issue. I know they've kicked this around before. So it's not like we're the first people suggesting something, but it certainly seems the way the system is set up right now isn't ideal. And so what we're going to be working on this year, and again, any feedback or thoughts that this group has, I can bring back to the BCCI, but we'd like to at least propose a better way to do this, or propose that the Traffic Commission consider other alternatives that would make these votes more reflective of the will of the community. So that's what I got.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so I'm just going to, we have a few minutes left. I'm just going to throw it open for any discussion, anything somebody wants to talk about, any suggestions, maybe for future meetings, any updates, concerns. So I'm putting it out there to anybody. I do have one announcement that I want to make. Does everybody remember the Chalk Art Festival?
Yes.
Did everybody go to it? Yay. Okay, so the Chalk Art Festival people are still meeting. They're on schedule to have a performance again this year. I don't know if it's going to happen, whether it will be postponed. They actually had a meeting tonight and saved the date, August 14th, August 15th is the proposed time for this year's Chalk Festival. They're planning to have it in, I guess you would say, Old Town Beaverton on First Street. So that's just a very minor update on what they're thinking. And as before, if it is a go-ahead, I would like to have a matching grant for our NAC again. I think it was very beneficial last time. So that's just something to think about, and we'll see what happens over the next few months. Comments? No?
Nope.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun last time. So let's see. Okay, so I guess nobody else has anything to add?
Nope.
Okay, so I have had one request from the Beaverton Education Foundation to present at a meeting. I invited them to come to the March meeting. So far, I haven't heard back from them on that. So
What were their names?
Sarah,
Oh, sorry, like who are they representing?
they represent the Beaverton Education Foundation. So they're a nonprofit. They try to solicit money from Beaverton residents to help promote either school activities or that sort of stuff. And, you know, I don't know everything there is to know about it, but they would like to make a presentation. So like I said, I invited them to March and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I've got her name here, Sarah Fisher Beachy.
Yeah, Beachy, yeah. Yeah, I sent her an email, but have not heard back from her yet. So Miles, do you have anything else to add before we adjourn?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. All right, everybody, we'll see you all hopefully next month. Be safe and have fun. Enjoy.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks again, Miles.
But hey, David, I updated the website with your contact.
Oh, good. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And Dennis, how's life going over there?
Now what now?
How's life going?
Oh, fine. Fine.
Okay.